Hi, and welcome to MLA formatting in Google Docs. Let's get started. From our libraries page, we have a guide that shows you how to format different kinds of documents, MLA, APA, in Word, Google Docs, etc. To find that, you can go to the frequently asked questions. And right here, you can just do a search, MLA. Here, how do I format a Google Doc in MLA style? So this document takes you step by step, everything that you need to do. And this is what this video is about. So now I'm just going to go directly to Google and I'm going to sign in to my Google account. And after I've already signed in, I am going to click on the Apps button and select Docs. From here, I'm not going to do a tour. They do have templates that you could use, but I'm going to show you how to do it from scratch. I'm going to click on the button that says blank. The first thing that I'm going to do is give my document a name. Just say annotated bibliography summer 2020 class. Okay, so now I've named it and I'll be able to find it much easier later. The next step is to set the margins. Make sure that everything is set up properly. So I'm going to go on the File menu. Then I'm going to select Page Setup. And I'm going to make sure that my margins are set to 1 inch from the top, bottom, left, and right. And then, of course, that the paper is set to letter, 8.5 by 11, and that is set to portrait. So that is okay. I don't need to do anything else here. So I'm glad I checked that. Next, I'm going to set up the line spacing. And to do so, I am going to stay within the same area and click on the button that says line spacing right at the top. And I'm going to change it to double. Now I'm going to change the font. I'm going to go to the font menu, bring it down, and I'm going to scroll all the way until I get to Times New Roman. And for the size, I'm going to select 12. The next thing is the page numbers, which is what they call the header. I'm going to go into the Insert menu. Then I'm going to go down to where it says Page Numbers. And I'm going to make the selection, the one that has the 1 and the 2, the very top one. Then I'm going to go all back over here, click right before my number. I'm not going to type any numbers or anything because that is configured automatically. And I am going to type in my last name. I'm going to pretend that I am Jane Smith again. Smith space. Now there is something funny happening here. I have to highlight everything and I need to apply the font change again because this doesn't have the same option as what we had in Word that automatically we can change all of the default fonts. I'm going to select that, select again Times New Roman, and select 12. Now I'm correct. Now I'm done. Then I can just press Escape, and I'm back into my document. I'm no longer in the header. If I wanted to make all of this my default, I can click here where it says Normal Text, and click on Options, and I could say, save as my default styles, and everything will be safe from now on. Now, before we do anything else, I do want to point out that sometimes this is off by the margins. So one thing that you could do is double click right here, and this brings you back into the header option. You can click on Options, and you can change the format right from here. You can click on that and make sure that the header is 1/2 inch from the top and click on Apply. So the only time that you would use this if you see that this is maybe too close to the edge of your paper, then you can make sure that you go in and change the distance right here. But if it's set to 1/2 inch from the top, you're fine. Now again, to get out of the header, I'm just going to press the escape key, or I can just click anywhere outside of that header. Now I can start typing my heading, and the heading is where you put in your name, professor's name, and all that. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that information now. I'm going to press the enter key, then I'm going to put in my professor's name. Press enter. Then I'm going to put in my class. And this is where you could put in English 101, etc. Then you're going to put in your section, your course number, and you might need to put in your section. Some professors may require that. You don't have to do that for this class. Press enter. Now I'm going to put in the date. It could be either today's date, or it could be the date when the assignment is due, or just ask your professor if they have a preference. So I'm just going to put in just any random date, just pretend August 2020. And notice that it is done the way that Europeans do it, day, month, and year. Now I'm going to press enter. Now different types of assignments might require to add something else at the bottom, or if you're doing an annotated bibliography, a professor might want you to put in a topic, or do thesis or your research question, and then continue with the work. For my class, you don't have to do that. You can just go straight to working on the annotated bibliography. Now, if this was an essay, like a 10-page essay, from here, where my cursor is right now, you would put in the title for your essay. And what you would need to do is center it. And you're going to use the tools from Google Docs. You're going to click on the center alignment tool, so that way your title would be completely centered. So if this was a 10-page research paper, it would be, violent video games and children, or something meaningful. Give it a meaningful title. And then you can press enter and then go back to the left align. Press the tab key to indent your paragraphs, and then you can start typing your essay. That's if you were doing a standard regular research paper. For my class, you're not doing that. All that you're doing is just an annotated bibliography. And what you're going to do is, for the title, you're just going to call it annotated bibliography. Then you're going to press enter. Then you're going to move the cursor back to the left side using the similar tool. I'm going to go back to the menu and click on the left align tool. Now I'm ready to paste my citations from Academic Search Complete. So now I am back into my search, and here's my article, the one that I've already evaluated and determined that it's what I'm going to use and that it will help me answer my research question. I'm going to go into the citation tool, which is in the shape of a yellow piece of paper. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to select the MLA style option and highlight the citation. I'm going to right click and copy. Then I'm going to go back into my annotated bibliography, and I'm going to right click and paste. And there's my citation. I'm going to zoom in and take a look at this gray background area. That's something that it should not be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my citation again, and I'm going to use the tools option here. And I notice that this one has the highlight color. It looks like it's in gray. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to select none. And see, I'm going to just click out of that, and all of that strange background is gone. Another thing that I'm going to do is, because I want to make sure that it's going to be in the correct format, I'm going to highlight it again, and I'm going to select Times New Roman font and size 12. So I'm almost done. I still need to do a few things. I need to first check that the citation doesn't have any errors in it. And I'm going to evaluate it first. Let me look at the first thing that they have, which is the authors. And to me, it looks like they got the authors wrong. It looks like this is the last name. So I'm going to copy that and cut it. And I'm going to put it at the front. I'm going to put it with a comma, space. I'm going to then evaluate what else I see that might be wrong. And I notice that, oh, this is an all uppercase, this is all uppercase, all uppercase. It shouldn't be that way. So what I can do is go ahead and change it. So I'm going to change it from uppercase to lowercase. So I'm going to do so by highlighting all the letters that do not need to be in uppercase. And I'm going to go to Format, Text. Under capitalization, I'm going to select lowercase, and I'm going to do that for all of them. Or I could just retype it. No. Then everything else looks okay. The title of the article, the title of the journal, the volume, the issue, the date, the page range. It says EBSCOhost. This, instead of EBSCOhost, you could have Academic Search Complete in there, but it's still acceptable to do it this way, which is EBSCOhost is the parent company of Academic Search Complete. And it also gives us the DOI number for this particular article. Now, we're still not done yet. The formatting is still off. I need to do the hanging indent. So I'm going to select it again. Then I'm going to go into the Format menu. I'm going to click on Align and Indent. Then I'm going to move over to Indentation Options. Under Special Indent, I'm going to bring down that menu and select Hanging and click on Apply after I make sure that it's at 1/2 inch. And there we go. Now it is perfect. So now I am ready to start my paragraph that talks about this particular source. And for this assignment, all you have to do is just keep it very brief, maybe 3 to 5 sentences long as you quickly summarize what this article is about, you evaluate it, and you also include in there why you selected it or how it helps you answer this question or why it's relevant for your research purpose. Different assignments or different assignment styles for annotated bibliographies might call on students to just start typing their annotations right underneath this citation or next to it. So if we are going to do it the way that I prefer it be done is right after we have that period at the end of the citation, you just press the space bar once and then you can start typing this article and just start typing your stuff, your annotations. Another acceptable format in other courses, if you do it for this, it'll be fine, but I prefer it this way. But just to give you a heads up, in other classes, you may just have to do it this other way, in which you leave your citation here, and right here, you're going to press Enter, Tab, and then you're going to type. But for me, just start right from here. So I'm going to start my summary. This article discusses findings from 2 separate case studies that, etc., etc., etc. So how do I do this? First is I have to go back into my article and make sure that I get a really good overview of what it says in the article. I'm going to go back. I am going to close out my citation so that I can get a better view. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to explore all the different aspects of this article. If you already watched my other video on MLA using Word, then it applies. You're just basically doing the same thing. You're just going over through the document and exploring all the different pieces of it, what they all mean. As an example, this here is basic information about the article, where it was published originally, the title of the article, the authors, and where they are from, as far as what research institution they're from. Under this is the abstract. The abstract is a short summary of what this particular whole article is about, and it's usually written by the authors of the article. I also noticed the keywords. These are the keywords that are associated with this particular article, and they will help me maybe get additional keywords for my research. Under that, I'm going to look at the footnote. The footnote tells me more information about the authors, where the research comes from, and who's funding the research. So that's also very important for us to look at when we are evaluating these research sources. Then the literature review. When you're looking at case studies in the sciences, psychology, sociology, behavioral sciences, business, etc., when you see that term here, literature review, is not necessarily talking about Shakespeare or anything related to literature as in English or other languages. It's more of the review of other resources on this specific topic that these researchers are researching. So what they've done is they have gone in and tried to search for other articles using library databases or other research tools and books to find out what else is out there, what has been published on this topic. So what they're doing is summarizing what they found in other sources. And this is good because then it gives their research context, background information. You can compare what they're doing with what other people have done before, or what other scholars have done before and what they've published. And I notice here in their summary, they keep adding information or citations from other sources. That means that they're borrowing ideas from these other published resources. And notice they're doing it in the same way that you would do it in your in-text citation when you write your own research papers. For this class, you're not doing that specifically, but for other classes, you will. Notice here they have a lot of different sources from a lot of different dates, publications. This was 2004, 2008, 2012. So they vary. There's some that are even older than that, like 1994. So to me, it looks like research throughout the decades keeps saying the same thing. So in a way that does bring value to whatever argument we're trying to make as it relates to this particular topic. And you can apply that to your own topics. Then, the research continues, and they've divided it. Now they're using subheadings, so that way they're splitting up their research that they've conducted. And in some cases, some classes that you take in the future, you're going to be doing something similar to this. So after they finish talking about what they found from other sources, then here they're going to start talking about their study that they themselves are doing. So what are these two scholars doing? Well, here's where they start telling you what they did. In their first study, they're telling you the method that they used and the participants. So it tells you, okay, in this particular case, it happened in this time period, and it was on 2 elementary schools, and where they did it, and what are the ages, how many girls, how many boys, from what ages and what ethnicities, etc. That's all information to let us know more about how this actual study was conducted. Then also what materials they used, what was their process, and here's the results. So this is where you would get your actual facts or data, your empirical evidence or anecdotal, etc. You would get it from the results. But in order to get this information, you first need to know how did they come up with this information, and that's why you would need to look at how they conducted their study. And then from there, you would use your own logic and reasoning to evaluate it, if it was conducted properly, what other factors were not taken into consideration when they were creating this, what other things could affect their results. And that will be all part of your scholarly conversation whenever you write your own research papers. For this class, you don't have to do it so much, just do it in your head, so that way you know where you're getting the information from. And then they talk about the differences. Oh, and here's where they're listing in table format. You might find tables, charts, Venn diagrams, etc. And it's just to visually represent their findings. So here's all of their information, and then from there you could further explore what this data means. So I'm going to continue scrolling down, and here's where they talk about their discussion, where they're discussing their research findings. So you can probably get some citations right from here as well, or some evidence that you're pulling from to help support what you are trying to say in your research project. Then here's their second study, again their methods and all of that. And then just know many times you're going to use different acronyms or jargon or terminology, and many times you can find what they mean right within the particular article. But if you don't know what something means, depending on your topic, you would try to find either a reference encyclopedia, like a tertiary source, or a specific dictionary, like a psychology dictionary, or some other dictionary that will help you define what that particular word means within the context of that particular field that you're studying, whether it's sociology, psychology, biology, etc., depending on what it is that you're researching. So I'm going to continue scrolling down. And again, here's more information about that particular procedure. Scrolling down, more visual representations, and again, the results for the second study. And this is where you can also pull out additional facts. And you can apply that to your own research topics and to your own sources that you find. Then here's the general discussion. Here's where they sum up what they found, and then they're also using additional sources to support what they're saying. So I continue scrolling down to see what else I find. Oh, right here, many times you're going to find in case studies or these primary sources that, like this, that they're going to also talk about the limitations that they had. So when they're up front and then they tell you things that, their research didn't cover, things for other researchers to explore in future research, then that gives them even more credibility in my mind, because every time we look at information, we also have to take it with a grain of salt, right? Be skeptical, ask questions, because a lot of data could be interpreted in many different ways. And many times there's no absolute. There may not be a right or wrong answer or a yes or no answer. And a lot of it is just conversations between scholars. Because very rarely in different social fields where there is an absolute, that is not like math or science, or even science, depending on different findings, it could change. Now we're going to scroll down, and the very last part of this article is their references, similar to what you are going to be doing in other research projects for other classes. In alphabetical order, they're listing all of their sources. So if we are looking at something, for example, if I want to see what this is, I could go into Carnegie, go to the C's, Carnegie, oh, there we go, and there's Carnegie. So what I could do is I could follow this information to try to find, there it is. There's that article. Oh, I would have to pay money because it took me right out of the databases. So don't pay money. See if you can find it inside another one of our databases. This just too smart for me. I continue on. So that just happened by accident. So let's see, scroll down. I was right here at the references. So this is just to see a lot of these, the DOIs are live links, so it'll take you directly to where you can find that information. But just know that this is going to take you to probably the publisher of that source, which is good for credibility purposes. However, what you want to do is try to find it first inside our databases. That way you don't ever have to pay for money to access any of these resources. Because most likely we might have them, or we might be able to access them in some way. Now, as you're working on your research project, make this a little bit bigger. If I wanted to quote something from, for example, let's just say that this was a fantastic idea, concept, fact that I want to put into my research project. This is actually a quote from another source, or not a quote, but a citation from another source. So right now, the two authors of this article, they are just, they paraphrased this particular concept that actually belongs to these two authors. So The best practice is for you to try to find this particular article originally as it was published inside one of our databases to make sure that what they're saying is really how our current authors understood it or paraphrased it. Just give it, try it, try to find it in our databases, on the internet. If you can't find it, you can still quote them indirectly, and there is a way to do that in MLA and APA style. I'm going to cover that later on in another video. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that there is a way to cite a source that's being cited in a source. But we just have to follow the proper rules on how to do that. And it's just basically within your essay, you say, oh, according to Guest and Roding as cited in or as quoted in, and then you're going to cite, these two researchers. But that's for the future. I just noted if I wanted to pull out any information, let's just say I wanted to get something from here, then if it's a direct quote in APA, I would need to also add the page number. But if it's just a paraphrase, I don't have to worry about the page number in APA style. But for MLA, whether it's a paraphrase, whether you're paraphrasing this or quoting, you would still need the page number, and you want to get the page number right from over here. But that's also when we talk about in-text citation, and that is for next week or for the next unit, not for this unit. So after I finished exploring my source, then I will be able to now go in and write a quick summary of this essay. And here I've typed up this information. So this particular sentence basically summarizes what this article is about and what it's doing. So here I'm addressing, that it's a case study that does this and is using this to measure this or to say this. Then I'm going to mention, what they used for evidence, other respected sources with information, current sources. So here's where I am talking about evaluating the source. Then when I'm talking about credibility and accountability and how it fits into my research purpose, and here I'm adding information on, that it coincides with other sources that I found in my research, that it provides, what kind of evidence it provides to help me answer my question, and basic, there's a tie-in between this, and it helps me answer this question in this particular way. So after I've done my paragraph, then I'm ready to go on to my next source. So for this particular section, it doesn't have to be this long, maybe 3 to 5 sentences. Just as long as you address, a quick summary, you evaluate it, and then you say why it fits into your research or why you picked it. So remember to use the third language, where you're talking about, you focus on the actual source, not on yourself, or like, I think that this is this. No, you wouldn't want to use that. Just always try to write in third person, because that's more academic, unless you are writing about your own experience. In the annotated bibliography, you can focus on writing in third person, but I won't penalize you if you use first person. So now I'm ready for my next sources. So now I'm ready to paste my next source. So the next few examples, those are not going to be, I haven't checked them to make sure that they're correct. I am only using them just to show information on how it would look like as far as the overall formatting of the document. So right after I finish with my description here, then I'm going to press enter. And now my cursor is back to the left align, and I can just paste my next source. And then notice after I pasted it did something weird to it, so I need to move this over to the left. So I'm going to backspace, there it goes. Backspace one more time, there it goes. So this one brought in additional extra spaces that I didn't need to. So be sure that whenever you copy and paste from other sources, to make sure that it doesn't mess up any of your citations. So then here's my next source, the citation, and here's the essay. Just remember, just use this just as for formatting, not actual style or any of that stuff. So this does need to be in alphabetical order, but at this time I could have, since I know it starts with a G, then it goes before the C, I could have moved this one down and pasted it in here instead, then fixed it. Let's see, but it then it messed up all kinds of stuff. There it goes. And I need to get rid of this extra spacing. Okay, so it really messed it up. So that's okay. There's a way to fix it. We just have to be a little patient. And I probably have to redo the formatting again. So line spacing is set to double. Custom spacing. Before now, see, this needs to be changed to 0. Paragraph spacing. There you go. There you go. So that's similar to the other version. Now I still need to go in and do the hanging indent. Make sure they all have the hanging indent. So format, go back to align and indentation options and hanging. Zero. Right. There goes. Okay, so now I'm set. So that was more work than I had intended it, but that's okay. This is a good example of how you might run into other issues, and then just keep at it. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase this one, and let's explore. Let's just say that I'm not worried right now about alphabetizing it. That I just want to paste in different types of articles and different sources, and I'm adding my citations and then my annotations. So Google Docs does not have an option that comes with Google Docs to alphabetize the different paragraphs like it does like what we have in Word, but there is an add-on that you could add, but it's up to you if you want to do it. So I guess at this point what you would have to go and do is just change them, alphabetize them yourself, copy and paste and add them how you want them. But I'm going to show you how the add-on would work, which you would highlight everything that you want sorted, and it's worked for me. But I can't say recommend it to you or one way or another. It's your personal preference. I can just click on add-ons, and because I've already added this particular application, then I could say sorted paragraphs, sort A to Z, and it'll do the working, and there it's alphabetized everything for me. If you don't have the add-on to alphabetize within Google Docs, you could just do it manually. But then you just have to make sure that all of your spacing is set correctly, like what we did a few minutes ago. So it is possible. It just takes a little bit of extra work and determination, but you can do this. If not, if you have any questions on any of these, just feel free to contact me or reach me. You know how to do it. Thank you.